welcome to Black Spring. Now, in this segment, we will take a look at Kamala Harris, the 2020 VP nominee, and her ambition and the effects of her war on truancy. And once again, I'd like to thank you for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn.
I sent a letter out on my letterhead to every parent in the school district outlining the connection that was statistically proven between elementary school truancy, high school dropouts, who will become a victim of crime, and who will become a perpetrator of crime. We sent it out to everyone. A friend of mine actually called me and he said, Kamala, my wife got the letter. She freaked out. She brought all the kids into the living room, held up the letter, said, if you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail. Yes, we achieved intended effect.
In the mid-2000s, as San Francisco's district attorney, Kamala Harris began filing charges against parents whose elementary school children were consistently missing school. A few years later, she persuaded the state legislature to adopt harsher penalties for truancy. Under the new law, parents of truant children could face a fine of $2,500 or more.
Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So now that you've had a bit of a introduction on the premise of Kamala Harris's truancy or war on truancy, let's take a look at a very specific case in which Ms. Harris's campaign met. Once again, thank you so much for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn.
On April 18th, 2013, in Los Angeles, Cherie Peoples was arrested for her daughter's school attendance record. Her daughter, Shayla, was born with sickle cell anemia, a serious genetic illness that causes her acute pain and requires frequent hospitalization and medical procedures. She had missed 20 days of school that year, and the school had records on file from the region's children's hospital explaining the circumstances.
Now, all I could think about is like, I don't have no thoughts. I didn't know what to think at that time. All I can do was just shake my head like, oh my God, I'm going to jail. That's all I kept saying. I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. Like, for truancy, I can understand going to jail for something I did. That I stole something or I hurt somebody. I can understand going to jail for that. But going to jail behind something I have no control over, I just couldn't put two to two together. It just didn't seem right. So I proceeded and I kissed my son goodbye. I asked the officer if I can kiss my son, and he was like, yes. And, they was trying to be extra polite to me. And I couldn't understand it. Like, why are they trying to be so nice and making sure I get my cell phone, making sure I have my jacket and so I can call upon release? I just didn't get it. I was so lost. So they made sure I had my things. I proceeded to go down the stairs, and before they opened the door, they put the handcuffs on me. And I can just feel the coldness from the cuffs and the sound. I don't see how people can just get arrested and be okay with it. But he opened the door, and it was really bright outside, and the sun was beaming right in my face. Because my door faces east, the same way the sun rises. My sun rises to the east. And I can hear this clicking, click, click, and I look, and it was cameras and people taking pictures and all kind of just people, officers, people in uniforms, people in regular clothes, people. It was just a lot of people. I thought, like, if you would have just looked around like I was Jeffrey Dahmer or I didn't murder somebody, as many people as it was. I didn't. They had social workers to take my son away if somebody wasn't there to care for him, and I was like, wow, all of this for little old me. Even the worst criminals don't get this sometimes, you know? So,
What happened to Cherie Peoples wasn't an isolated incident. That same morning, 5 other parents were arrested for truancy, and several were met by awaiting news teams that had obviously been preemptively notified. The parents were then smeared by the media, who failed to report the intricacies of the parents' predicaments. Cherie Peoples' case dragged on for over 2 years, with dozens of court dates occurring at least once a month. "It's hard on the body, it's hard on the mind," Cherie has said. "Right now I am living the worst nightmare that any mother could possibly understand or go through." On August 12th, 2015, the charges were finally dismissed. Between caring for her daughter and navigating the judicial system, Cherie couldn't realistically hold a full-time job. She has struggled to afford a place to live, she has faced eviction, and she has dealt with homelessness. There are still hundreds of families across California entering the criminal justice system under the guidance of Harris's truancy law.
Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So, as you can see, Miss Peoples has a very unique story like many others. And it's not impossible to empathize or understand the pain and stress of managing such an illness as sickle cell anemia, school, medical bills, and just lifestyle maintenance. And this, unfortunately, is a result of this is a result of Harris's quest or her ambition and her giddy progressive intentions to pave the road to perdition for parents who are in circumstances that don't yield such incriminating and punitive measures. But what I can say is that I do believe that this story speaks to or goes to the heart of Ms. Harris's ethos, her integrity in such a pivotal election season. And what my question would be to the Black community, how does something like this bode with you? Is this the type of leadership or the type of ambition that's going to make the Black community more progressive or make the Black community more self-sufficient? Or is this going to be like many other wars in the past, whether it's the war on crime or a 1994 crime bill? Is it going to lead to more perdition rather than yield any real benefits or good intentions? Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think, how this would bode well. Or do you think this is going to be a turnoff for not only the Black community, but other communities of color based on the effects of such a war on truancy? And once again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. If you could help us out with those Channelytics by continue to take care with those thumbs up, thumbs down, sharing out the video, or just simply making sure you're still subscribed. Thank you for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn.